All right, we're back. We're live for our second segment on Facebook Live. Say hello, everybody. Shades of Green by the Green Alliance. We're airing right now on KDON.
And we're back with Shades of Green on KDWN 720 in Las Vegas. Our guests today, Louise Helton and Scott Shaw from One Sun Solar, are talking about legislation, and it's pretty exciting. It's heating up out there. We actually set a record on Sunday.
Yes, we did. Just a little warm, huh?
It's a little warm here in the valley.
Just a teens.
So actually they're up in Carson City, so give us some more input on what's going on up there.
Sure. There's going to be another bill that will be heard this week that Senator Mo Dennis is carrying, and it's one that is about solar gardens or community solar. To help everybody understand a little bit more about what that is, Scott can go into more detail, but it's sort of like everybody knows what a solar farm is, those great huge things out in the desert. Solar gardens are a little bit smaller and more personal for the 73 to 78% of folks who don't have a roof. And so what do you do if you want to have solar, and the solar gods have not been kind enough to allow you roof space to have solar?
So this is very solar gardens are very popular in Colorado. They work really well. So for example, here in Las Vegas we have a lot of apartment complexes, condominiums and so forth, where there's not enough roof space for all those people to participate in green energy. What a community solar garden would do is you have a chance to buy in to part of that mini solar field for whatever. You get to realize the benefits of the solar. You're producing your own energy out of that garden. This is different than utility solar. As in utility solar, you've got a utility that builds this huge solar farm out in the desert and then charges you a premium for that energy that they deliver to you. This is community owned. You're investing your dollars in building that, and you're reaping the benefits for it for yourself. This is also a great way to serve the low-income community, where it allows them to participate in the green energy revolution and reap the benefits of that.
How do they reap the benefits from that? Is there a direct, do they get credits, or they take their power directly from that farm? How does it work?
They actually get the direct savings. Let's just say that in your condominium complex that you live on the first floor and your neighbor upstairs has all the roof. Well, obviously, especially in this community, think of all of the wonderful carport covers that are out there that are just waiting to have solar put on them. This would be the perfect avenue to create this solar garden on one of those rooftops of the carports. So let's just say that in that particular area of the complex, you have people who could afford 10 solar panels, somebody else who could only afford one. They divide the credits that are achieved by those solar panels evenly among, based on their own investment level. And that's how it works out. So you actually get the credits instead of having to pay a premium. So it makes a lot more sense for so many more people.
So do these credits show up on your bill, or how do you know you're getting credit for it?
It'd be showing up on your bill.
Okay, excellent.
So it really is. It's that next thing that we really have needed in order to make this a real democratic opportunity so everybody can have access. Because otherwise, it's only for folks who can afford it or who have a roof of their own. And it also helps nonprofits, because a lot of times they are landlocked, and you could actually create a solar garden in another location. It doesn't have to be contiguous to your property. This works out really well for HOAs as well. Maybe an HOA would like to offer an opportunity for their community, and maybe it's not, I know that with a lot of these communities, some of them, you have a 3-story house, you have a lot of square footage, but it leads to a very small rooftop that's not sufficient to put solar panels on to power as much of your energy needs as you might like. You could actually create a solar garden in a separate location, and the community can derive the benefits from it regardless of whether it's right on top of them literally or if it's at a more remote location. So the options that it gives everybody are fabulous, and we need those options. I mean, we are living in the state that has the best sunshine for solar energy anywhere in the United States. It is the absolute best. We have such an abundance of it, and we really need to be cashing in.
Well, I know we've been referred to as solar Mecca, so we should be taking control of that.
That's right.
So tell us some more about legislation and what's going on up there.
Well, we have several other bills that we're still hoping and waiting are going to come through. We are really looking for the AB 5 to be heard in committee. And again, you know, we're looking at that wonderful calendar of making sure it's heard by April 14th. But that one's going to be the one that really unlocks opportunities. It's the PACE bill. We touched on that the last time, but I cannot underscore enough how critical that bill is. And then there's a companion bill that works really well with it that's about green banks. And that one's been introduced. So we've got the two that really work well together. One creates an opportunity for us to bring private investment dollars in to allow people to have loans for solar, whether it's a commercial or residential account. And then PACE, that we're hoping at this point, it's looking like the residential possibility may have to be eliminated just for the complexity that it seems to be presenting to the legislature. It may end up this time just going for commercial, which is fine. We'll take it, huh, Scott?
Absolutely. I think it's also important to point out that PACE isn't just for solar. PACE is for energy efficiency in buildings and homes.
Mm-hmm. They're also in
property assessed clean energy.
Correct.
Thank you, Paul Ira. You're a genius. They're also in the bill that's been that's part of the green banking. They're looking at allowing energy storage as well as energy efficiency to be part of it. And the green banks, I should make sure everybody is understanding, it's not an actual bank. So it's not going to be a new bank that competes with Bank of America or Bank of Georgia or anything. It's just it's more of a figure of speech that just it's a financing vehicle that could be based in the state Office of Energy, and they could make sure that they vet all of the requests for loans as well as the investors. But there's a huge pool of money out there that would love to invest in clean energy for people to take advantage of.
It's also important, this is not taxpayer money. This is not taxpayer funded. Taxpayers are not liable for anything. And that can also be, that's misinformation that's out there. Mm-hmm. In no way is Las Vegas on the line for it. Reno, Henderson, or whatever, the taxpayer is in no way liable.
Well, it's like the name of the program says, it's property assessed clean energy. So the loan, if a loan is taken out to make these improvements, is assessed to the property. So even if someone owns a home, for example, and they do a PACE project on their home, and then they move, that loan stays with that home.
Along with the efficiency passes through to the next owner.
Exactly.
It's a perfect plan.
It is a perfect plan, and I think it's a very exciting time, and I'm glad to see the legislation is taking a look at this. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and some more about solar when we come back to Shades of Green, KDWN.